Here we are, my friends. I'm Lou Martin, and I have a YouTube channel called Awakened Spirits Network. Here is the great Peter Hansen, a dear friend who this is now my third chat with Peter on my channel. And I was just saying a moment ago, Spirit tends to create the opportunity for us to come together at auspicious moments. So Peter, this is an auspicious moment for me, just getting to chat with you and say hi. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, thank you. And I feel like it's been more than 3, but it is not. Obviously, this has been 3, but it's like you mentioned, it's been ongoing in different dimensions, and working together in many different ways, different places, aspects, just relating, and like you said, auspicious moment, like the eclipse and the equinox energies, the crystalline grids being activated, and how that affects everybody individually, how we can all relate to that, how what we are clearing or mastering or opening up to and observing is very interesting, because that's one of the many values with having these conversations. I feel like we are on different sides of the pond, but also we are actively participating in our personal ascension journey, and sharing authentically, from the best of our abilities, what we are able to share at the time, because it really is like we're clearing the old foundation, the old templates, so there will be times we forget things and searching for things that was kind of supporting us in the past, but now it's not needed any longer, coming into this new ways of existing and new purpose, new mission, activating the new directions from the codes within us, and receiving that from the outside too, through the activations and the solar flares and the galactic alignments. All of that is all connected, and how we then connect the dots, and experiencing it, and to the best of our abilities, stay afloat, is the key.
Yeah, well, you're laying the table out very nicely, as usual, my friend. There's so much there, to chat about. So yes, please. This eclipse, the information, I'll just say this and then I'll welcome your feedback. The eclipse was, first it was a trickle, then it was a stream, and it has become a flood, of channels and astrologers talking about this. My excitement recently, and I don't know if you've seen this yet, but I'll send you the link if you like. Sasha Stone, who I find fascinating, did a panel of indigenous people from around the world talking about the eclipse. So if you haven't sent that, I'll send it to you. But what are your thoughts about this dance between the solar flares that are going up, and this the lunar eclipse, the equinox, and the solar eclipse? How are we fitting all that together in your mind?
Well, we are in a new era, a new yuga, new time. So what wasn't available or in the field 5 years, 10 years ago is now so magnified and exponentially expanded in the field, individually and collectively. So that's also why we see all these shifts and changes in the earth the last 5 years. I mean, it's been ongoing, and it continues to as it's being cleared up. So how is that connected? How is that assisting us? That's because of us, taking our powers back, and taking ownership of our journey, where before we were either unconscious or asleep, but being activated by divine design, depending, some have been doing their whole lives, but it's like it's all individually, like the perfect timing, so forth, for this experience, for being part of this changeover, that we are experiencing right now. So that is just so magical, and we are entering those miracle timelines now to the best of our abilities. And as we do, then we individually go through the cleaning, the clearing, the activation stages, the embodiment stages, and then to the best of our ability, processing first individually within, and then through the collective, where we assist others, and then we see somebody or assist somebody who have a similar problem something you went through, so you can share and reflect on it, and also master just another aspect within you from having that exposure, for being a part of that healing and that insight, because it comes down to the separated world being tied back together, we're coming into oneness again, where everybody is an aspect of you. It's a cell of the same oversoul, God frequency, and that is why we are here, to experience that source experiencing itself, and staying on that path to the best of our ability, and personally, I see like big expansion in my own life right now, where I was just sharing with a friend earlier today. There's this lady at the beach. I walk at the beach almost every morning, really close to the ocean the last 5 months. And there's this spirit guide I've been meeting on my walks in the morning almost every time I walked. And she walks 8 miles a day, and she's just such a pure channel, clear channel, just imagining walking up and down the beach 8 miles a day. And she's an old lady, that's how she shows up, the spirit guide, and she's just like pure expression of source, walking up to people and sharing that. And I'm sure many humans are probably thinking that she's a little crazy, but I don't, you know what I mean? I see myself in her. I see God, it's just so beautiful. And so every time we talk for 10, 15 minutes, and actually during the equinox last week and a week and a half ago, whatever it was, we met that same time, and she wanted to ask me if I wanted a healing. So she gave me a healing and activation in the sand for an hour by the ocean. And it was, before that, she was like, she don't touch, because it's like her energy is just so high. But that day we touched fingers like E.T. And then after the healing, I was going to do it again with her. And then she did this, with my hand instead. So then we connected that way, and I gave her a little hug, and she was like, be careful, because, the energy was just so strong. And I received that activation, and I was in bed for a couple of days after that, because the tension symptoms was just so strong in the system. You know what I mean? Even though I do this all the time, but it was just so powerful, and I haven't seen her since. So I see that divine alignment, that the reasoning for us getting comfortable with each other, and sharing and seeing the light. And it was the highlight of my walk, and same for her, it was like, just connecting, sharing, and it was really wonderful. But that activation was just the ocean spirit, the crystalline grid, the pyramids in the oceans, all of that in the Pacific Ocean in this instance, was just, it's like, I feel like that whole package was coming through her into me, and my body went through just different phases of the sense and symptoms. It was like, it was not just one thing. It was like, all of it felt like it lasted almost a week, total,
Wow. Yes. No, thank you for sharing that, my friend. We were meant originally to talk, I think it was last week, around the equinox, which was, and I had a date with yourself, and then there's a Swedish channel who I would love to connect you with, a woman named Camilla Oria Kumara, and she and I chatted a week ago today, but she had also canceled that same week that you and I, the same day. It's actually 2 weeks, I think, ago, 2 weeks ago from today. But it's wonderful what you're sharing here, because this is I want to let this in more, that this is the world we're living in now, that we're surrounded by spiritual beings, some of whom are very awake and very receptive and very tuned in, and she is certainly doing an amazing spirit walk, and blessing you and all of us just by being able to share her presence and her story. So thank you for that.
I hope that's helpful for others to kind of like also see how there's the stages we're going through, and yes, they are very relatable to having a cold or whatever, a virus, who knows what, but at this stage, it's all energy being transmuted, you know, and activated and downloaded, activations, initiations, you know. So when we are open to receive the value from that, you know, then our body then it has to go through a cellular cleansing and clearing and reactivation, download, reboot, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
all of
then
that.
when we are aware of that, then we also, of course, see the value in that and partake and allow it, you know, receive it. But we
Yeah,
also know that there's certain times we can't do what we normally do, so that becomes a part of our work as well. Is that the downtime, the sleep, the being in bed, getting ourselves
sure.
back on track, you know.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's beautiful. And, you know, I feel, Peter, like, honestly, again, the divine timing of today for me with you here is, you know, I really have this sense of momentum and of, you know, things increasing. You mentioned the solar flares and how this is, you know, affecting our DNA and our light body and our emotional bodies, physical bodies, all of this. So, you know, everyone who has any receptivity, well, there's 1111 right there. Everyone has any receptivity, you know, is trying to tune into these energies. For myself, the last 7 days, I've had to spend a good part of the afternoon horizontal, you know, and just feeling the energies, you know, wash over me. So I can relate to getting a tune up, but it's very noticeable, which is exciting.
It's like a template swipe, you know what I mean? So it is
Yeah,
kind of like we have to find our new way, and then it's like we thought we had it all together, you know, and we're building on that. But then when we reach a certain frequency, like you know,
sure.
then to the best of our abilities, we have to learn to trust in this new frequency, and then build, you know, and take notes and activate and receive and pick up the signals that's now coming in, you know.
Yes, yes. Well, you mentioned the changing of the yuga. I mean, I
Mhm.
just want to say, you know, this is why I'm excited about this Sasha Stone interview with the indigenous people. You know, there are many different ways for people to understand we're really in a cosmic moment of transformation. And, you know, I think this eclipse is going to get everyone's attention.
I agree. It is a closing of a cycle, you know what I mean? Something I've been channeling as well was coming up the other day in a session, you know, but it's very universal, it's very collective, you know, to share is that, you know, it's connecting the dots with the last yuga too, like the fall of Atlantis, you know, even prior to that, how high the consciousness was, how high and functioning, you know, humanity, the, you know, civilization was, you know, telepathically operating at a higher dimensional frequency. So now connecting us to where we're at now, and not, in essence, catering to anything in between, not having to like collapsing, basically, you know, allowing the gifts from prior to the dissension, you know, to be reconnected with where we're at now, so they can support us in this next stage of ascension, you know what I mean? Because we're not held down by everything in between any longer, as much as we have been before, because now the frequencies and the light and the flares, everything, planetary alignment, the yuga, the cycle, you know, is now in the golden age timeline. So it's now everything is just a line for a very different vibrational experience, you know, for everybody.
Sure.
And that also brings us into the quantum field, where then there is no time, right? So then we can easily tap into whatever is assisting us, all aspects of
Yeah.
ourselves, guides, all of that, you know, that becomes available again, which is really beautiful. And yes, I need to hear or listen to your conversation with Sasha as well.
Sure, absolutely. Yes, and you know, was just listening to a woman named Sonia Grace, who has a bloodline of being Norwegian and Cherokee,
Mm.
and she's been a time traveler her whole life. Fascinating lady. I'll send her to you as well. And I haven't interviewed her or Sasha, but I'm just listening to them. And you know, these. So she also mentioned Atlantis. She seemed completely credible and authentic to me as well. And you know, so the veil is getting thinner. That's what I want to say here. And so for everyone who is open and receptive and willing to trust in the unknown, the invisible, into the mystic, more and more assistance and clarity, I believe, is on its way, and it's speeding things up as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm moving the picture. It looks like I can't tell what I'm looking at. I'm not sure if the camera's picking it up because your picture is more on one side, so it's like I feel like I'm looking over there, but maybe
No, you're okay. It looks like we're looking at each other.
I just changed the text.
Sure. Well, the shadow healing that we've been doing, I think, for the last several months, to me feels like it's finally shifting out. Actually, Tuesday, the day after the eclipse, the day after the equinox, no, the eclipse, everything just worked out, miracle after miracle after miracle, one lovely thing after another. And by the end of the day, I was like, hilt, wow, I surrender. Yes, can I have this every day, please? Thank you. And for me, it was, just friends having great news. And then the news that I was watching and following, the stories I follow, like Julian Assange and Bobby Kennedy's vice presidential candidate, this extraordinary woman. And then at the end of the day was the Sasha Stone interview and all of that. So I do see that things will be as available, as open, as positive as I'm willing to allow that. And all this wonderful energy and good news came, as I say, the day after the eclipse. And that tends to be, breaking the cycle, just like the solar eclipse is breaking the cycle. So what Stone says is basically that this is something that's been talked about for thousands of years, this particular eclipse in 10 days from now. So it's absolutely going to get everyone's attention. And I feel this, I want to hear your feedback on it. My sense, Peter, is that the shadow work that we've been doing throughout this and other lifetimes is going to now be in the world's domain, and people are going to need to look at their own unconsciousness and let it go. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, and that's the part of the awakening and the ascension journey, where everybody is at to learn and integrate and activate, and then coming back online. That is a integral part of each journey. You know what I mean? So everything we individually have been working on, of course, that's in our individual universe experience script. We are seeing it from our point of view, and as are everybody else. So we are part of the puzzle. Like it is lining up perfectly. Everything leading up to it. So we are in for a treat. But it's at the same time, it's like it's one of those roller coaster kind of rides, because it's like it's taking us into a different dimensional frequency and existence where we can't even fathom, what's available.
Yes.
We kind of connect with,
Yes, beautiful. So you're people who haven't met you before, I'm just conscious, would you just tell people how you got into doing this work and why we're having this chat today in general terms?
That's a good question. Long answer. I had a near-death experience, 30 years ago. And that was where I moved from Denmark to here, but throughout my lifetime before that, and since then, it's been my spiritual awakening journey, integrating, activating that curiosity within me, that inner compass, to reaching a point a good 10 years ago when I made some dramatic changes and then activated the light work on me much more. And so it became more being a service experience. I then retooled myself, and made choices that was based on how can I be of the most service, you know what I mean? And then doing the inner work, really that comes down to that, just fully surrender, learning what that means, learning what it means to operate in the spiritual world, navigating it, channeling, activating, connecting, feeling, opening up the heart space, clearing, like you mentioned, the shadow work, the death and the rebirth, experiences. So that's been my life leading up to this, and I now have a for many years I've been doing this for a living, and worked with thousands of people around the world. In the lately last 3-4 years, I've been either in my office or online only. I haven't done any shows since before the pandemic, when that happened. But all of that is like it's been working hand in hand with where I was at individually or personally on my journey, what was serving me, what I was mastering at that time. So like right now, I'm in another one of those, shifts and changes, where I'm working with clients, absolutely. Maybe not as many as I did before, prior, but then I'm going to be doing some shows and on the road, and I'm doing, interviews and so forth and workshops. But there's a new activation happening within my field as well, where I'm, required to stand up and show up differently. I mean, really comes down to that 24/7 I'm at service, right? So me being authentic to myself, through my vibration, through my work, my word, that is really what it comes down to the most, and that's also where I have experienced, this is like most of the last 6 months, I feel like this incredible support. And there's no doubt in my mind that I am supported, you know what I mean? So that really, really shift you into a different kind of gear as well, where you're not focused on the outside. You just focus on the core being, the core reason why I'm here. And it's not that I know it all, it's like, it's I'm learning, I'm expanding, I'm sharing, and then done that enough, then you've been put into a new timeline when then you have to learn to master that, activate that, integrate that, and hold that frequency within your being, So that's
that's great.
Of answering your question, but and I connect with the angelic, that's been my thing over the years. Archangel Gabriel and the Seraphim angels as well, Jesus, Sir Lancelot, and channeling those aspects of me in another dimensional frequency or reality.
Wow, I never heard the Sir Lancelot part before. That was exciting. I'm a fan of all that, King Arthur and the Once and Future King, and had a trip to Glastonbury and Tintagel and all of that. So beautiful. Well, fantastic. Is there anything that do you want to channel it all here today for us?
Absolutely, if you want to. If there's anything you want to tune into, is there anything you want to ask about, or?
That's the question of a lifetime. Let's see. I mean, here's what's coming to my mind, Peter, and I'll leave it to you and your guides, whatever they want to say. There's a woman named Nancy Rebecca who is also very gifted, and she's American. She was in Ireland, and she was at a place called Glendalough, and she looked up into the heavens, and she saw literally a city floating above the land there. And then when we're just talking about Avalon and the mists of Avalon, and I'm the lady speaking about Atlantis, and actually my connection with Camilla originally from Sweden was because she was talking about the inner earth and Gartha and Hyperborea, etc. So maybe Spirit might give us some thoughts about these other dimensions and these other realities and civilizations that seem to be poking into my movie a little bit more at the moment.
Okay. Do I have your permission to energy meld and connect with your higher self?
Please.
Thank you. I'm just going to bring in the Legion of Angels. I'm asking them to remove any wandering spirits, anything that's not of the light from your energy field, from this transmission, from your home, city, state, country, this planet, all timelines, all parallel realities, and all dimensions, just clearing the space. Slowly and gently energy melding with you and bringing in the Archangel Gabriel for guidance. And the Seraphim is assisting here as well. Not taking the leading role, but Gabriel will. So your question is why, in essence, or like some highlights or some insights to your experience of all these different
Yes.
mystical worlds, so to speak, that's now coming into your reality and into your awareness through others that vibrationally are being guided towards you or reconnecting with you. So let me see here. What is the purpose here?
Yeah.
So the Seraphims is very strong. So there's like a lot of rainbow light coming in here. And that is part of the answer as well, is that, vibrationally, Agatha, Avalon, Earth, all of that, higher realms, realities, and Mount Kalias is coming up as well, Shambhala, all of that. It's
Right.
a vibrational bandwidth that, is like civilizations in essence, in the quantum field that's been in our experience and our understanding is they are separate, but it's actually coming into, there is a integrate, network and in connection between them all. The same with Mount Shasta and our tellers, all of that. Anything you've known about or you heard about, there's a higher vibrational version of reality, or what the shamans or the priest was connecting with. It's all part of that higher dimensional existence that's now it was serving different purposes for different religions, for different peoples. And of course, it's been kind of like romanticized over time as well. The way it's been channeled, the way it's been shared through the human consciousness. But in essence, it's like it's all connected. So it's like you can say it's different fragments of the same, and it's coming into your awareness now for you to connect the dots. And it's not so much the stories that have to align; it's the frequencies that you just have to reactivate within you from each one. It's like, because that open up that remembrance within the cells and the codes, the light codes within you, then allows to kind of like put everything into a new perspective, in the new template, in the new dimensional version of you that's stepping forth. And in turn, what that allows, when that kind of like the groundwork is put into place, it creates a support system within you where it's not separate from you any longer. So you reconnect with those aspects of you in these different realms, right? In these different locations. And that allows then some sacred codes that's been hidden, so to speak, within you, creator codes that come forth and be released. Because then like you are now able to translate them, communicate them, share them. And this is what's in the process of unfolding right now. So that's the overall picture, why you are experiencing, why you're drawing these aspects to you, you're magnetizing them to you, if that makes sense.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Can I ask about, that was wonderful. And of course, what I want to say is I'm just showered with light over here, while you're talking about all of that. May I ask, Peter, your guides also about any thoughts about the solar eclipse and how we can best prepare for that and serve the greater good?
Okay. Yes, let me see here. So what they're showing me is that there's another sun coming in. So there's a shift again. So it's not so much the human mind is trying to prepare, you know what I mean? It's navigating from the linear time. So the best advice is to just surrender and allow, because it's in essence, you can say we want to know what's happening next and prepare the best, because there's still that little bit of fear in the field, or the unknown, the uncomfortable, the anxiety, the humanness. So to the best of your ability, when you just allow yourself to receive these incoming activations, which really is a dimensional shift as well, the more you can just be open to receive it in real time. So don't focus so much on the outside of, oh my God, in 10 days, I this is going to be big. This is going to, not building up too much hype around it.
Okay.
Stay present. Try to stay grounded as possible, because I feel like, especially, I can't say for female either, but like I feel like a lot of males, especially, there's a lot of ungroundedness happening right now because there's this transitioning happening. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
you want to, as much as possible, to ground that energy. And it's, again, it's not focusing so much on the outside. Focus on your lane, your rice bowl, if you want, what's going on in your life right now,
Okay.
keeping yourself as grounded and timeless as possible, where your
Okay.
frequency, how you're showing up is as crisp as present moment as possible, real time. Because
Okay.
then you are not being pulled by these, invading forces, so to speak, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And also, as we all positioned, strategically at the moment as light workers, as an anchors, and as grid keepers, we are holding the crystalline grid in place for the collective as well. So we are feeling the collective purging as well. You know what I mean? So
Right.
then that's another good reason for you. Like you want to stay as grounded as possible within your being, your embodiment, because then it won't affect you as much, because you are simply holding a higher consciousness frequency or vibration as this transitioning is happening. So that is actually your point of origin right now, or purpose, if that makes sense. So if you can look at yourself as this is your calling at the moment,
Yes.
yes, 10 days from now, but it's already started, it's already happening in the quantum
Yeah.
field. It's already happened, you know what I mean? So you just stepping up and you taking responsibility, in essence, that is all you have to do. Take responsibility for you know what I mean?
Yes. Lovely. Thank you. Very good. Very good. Thank you very much. Interesting. Yeah.
And then
My own
love,
right.
love, 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 love yourself, love everything, the place you're at right now, love the air, love the sun, whatever it is, like really connect to love. That allows you
Okay.
to then, not get distracted as much,
Very okay. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Brilliant. Brilliant. Um, very good. Very good. Well, let's talk. I started to listen to your talk with you did a few weeks ago here, State of the Union
Okay.
within. Yeah, yeah, it was lovely. I'm about halfway through that, and um, the the balance between the masculine and feminine, between men and women. To me, this is also another thing that is really on full boil in the world of needing greater healing and greater harmony. Would you like to say anything about that, or channel anything about that? Either way.
Is there any specific questions you want to tune into?
Um, how can we as men be more conscious and more supportive of our role in relationship to women and this world?
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Good question. I just see what's coming through here. It's important to kind of recognize and remind ourselves that it's part of the whole, so it's not actually separate. But in the frequency bandwidth where it is operating as male and female, it operates in different bandwidths and different dimensional, operating systems, so to speak. So it process energy differently. So how can we assist the most is that, basically stay in your lane the most, but, as much as you can, integrate the female into you. So you want to fully, as much as possible, activate the divine feminine within you. So that is happening through the heart space, it's happening through the emotions as well, allowing the emotional body, allowing yourself to listen to whatever's coming up, how you are clearing things, because the way you clear it in the masculine and how you clear it in the feminine is actually polar opposites a lot of times, So it's like, it's not, getting yourself back into that point of view of you are being both, you know what I mean? So you can fully make that integration and make that trinity, make that vibrational co-creation, so to speak, within you. Allowing yourself to receive, this is the part of the feminine as well, the male is more of the planting the seed, and then allowing yourself to nurture and hold yourself. So you're working both aspects as much as possible. It's not so much about finding females and then serve them. Of course, you want to respect and then you want to share, but really the big transmutation or the transformation is happening within you. Okay. When you complete, you're activating that whole gamut, that whole bandwidth, that oneness, the unified field of consciousness within you. So it's important that you communicate with yourself as, you will be going back and forth between the two for a little while until you allow it to fully work as organically as possible, because it gives you a stronger bandwidth. It's like you are now operating in a frequency where you're mastering both, or you are fully acknowledging and fully respecting and holding those both frequencies. And again, what we talked about earlier, a different question, about how when you integrate different aspects of yourself, then you gain access to higher frequencies because these frequencies start working together. And in this case, it's the masculine and feminine, and then they create an access point or access into the higher self or the oversoul consciousness to come through you and being, communicated through you. And then you will go through a kind of recalibration each time, because everything that you believe to be true as a male or as a female, then that kind of goes out the window, because now you have to calibrate as a, unified being, you see?
Okay. Yeah. So thank you. So in other words, thank you, Peter. In other words, like my sense of the near future is, a real emotional purging for the planet around fear and judgment, and I think that's that's a great thing, a necessary thing, and as we've been saying here, each of us has needed to take responsibility for our own healing journey and our own shortcomings, character defects, needs to forgive and be forgiven, etc. Being in integrity, being in impeccability, taking responsibility, all these essential steps of being the spiritual adult, or striving to be the spiritual adult. As you say, it's a roller coaster. Often what I also believe is that what I'm seeing is that women are hugely moving into their power spiritually at this point, in a way that's absolutely inspiring and, almost intimidating, that, the guys are going to have to do some serious growing up, I think, spiritually in general terms. And I think, as we were saying earlier, I mean, it's always a joy to talk to you, and your consciousness, your use of language, your metaphors and analogies and all of those things, really give me things to hold on to in terms of changing my perceptions, to change my reality. So where am I going with all this? That trusting, like you're meeting with this beautiful 80-year-old lady, and her connecting with you so deeply, and her being so connected to her sovereignty, spiritually, her emotional truth, and her spiritual journey in such a deliberate way. I feel that what's coming is a lot of giving and receiving at much larger levels. Like you said that for yourself, you have that sense, and I do as well. That there's just more of a need for all of us to share our experience and our gifts with the world, right soon. So I will stay in the present moment, but I just wanted to share all that and ask for any feedback you want to give.
No, I love that. It's beautiful. One thing that's coming up, is like another good kind of like a reminder or guide, is that there's the human masculine and the human feminine, and then there's the higher soul self, higher feminine, divine masculine.
Mm-hmm.
So, more so than looking on so much on the masculine, feminine, look at more, is this a more a human vibration or a more expanded vibration that is showing up in your field and navigating it, with the least duality as possible, you see. So then,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You're treating everybody as equal in that sense.
Yes.
Very helpful.
Very. Okay. Yeah. Yes. And also trusting, thank you. That was very helpful. Staying out of duality, staying in oneness, staying out of judgments, staying in discernment, acceptance, openness, vulnerability, truthfulness, all of that, that everyone that comes into our lives, we are inviting, we are vibrationally calling. There is many reasons for their presence in our reality. Yeah. And just really, living from that level of consciousness every day. I mean, you said in your own spiritual journey, how you really had to, make the total commitment to give your life to God for God's purpose for your life. And I feel the same, and that's the clarity that I have these days, over and over again is, the trail it's been a long and winding road, as the song goes, but thank God I'm still here, and things are changing quickly and getting very expansive and exciting. So I just want to say that, for people listening, that we can trust as we give ourselves to God, that God, is aware of our depth of commitment and surrender, and that's the first step. And the second step is, the daily first step over and over again. First, like 12 steps, and the second awareness is, and now I know that everyone and everything that comes to me is for the highest purpose, that I can allow myself to perceive it. And then, as you said, how can I love this person, place, thing, or situation in a way that lets God reveal its gift, reveal its hidden purpose? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And that is coming back to us being at service, like that is really what we don't have to focus so much about fixing the outside, it's more of a, how are we showing up, and the more we do that, the more we come into that alignment, and the less we identify with this distorted aspects of the human self, and a pure channel. So it's really, like you mentioned, giving ourselves to the cause, really, and then eventually, embodying that fully, and recognizing that the one who's we're trying to connect with is ourselves, it's the aspect of source experiencing itself,
Beautiful. Seeing ourselves
real through the service, but we have to show up, we have to do the work, you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. And seeing ourselves reflected in everyone we're connecting with. Absolutely.
Right. How our thoughts, our vibration, our actions is having a direct impact on our experiences,
Yes. So as we make this more conscious shift into these higher vibrations, I think that just accelerates dramatically over the next few years, is the feeling here. And you mentioned a new sun. Can you say anything else about that, or another sun, or?
Yes, it's kind of, well, it's not just a new sun, it's like new earth as well. It's like that's what that kind of represents, as well as a new universe we're kind of stepping into. So there's a sun that's paired with that earth version of earth as well, where that is like finely attuned, benefiting the most, holding the frequency and that vibrational bandwidth and consciousness in place. So it is, in essence, it's the entire universe that's kind of like this. That's the shift we are in the process of experiencing. So it's not just the sun, right? So it's like, yes, that is the life force that's then attuned, but what that also means that is that the sun is being channeled, through the sacred heart. We are the life force, right? So that's also what's happening, like there's a upgrade happening within each individual, and we signed up to have a mass experience, because in the past that was something that happened much more individually, by ascended masters, and they reported, they wrote about it, they shared about it, and then that got diluted or whatever over time, or described in certain ways. But now we as a collective are now all coming up to the plate, so to speak, and this is what these eclipses and these portals, and these transitions are, signifying, is that we are all experiencing it together at the same time.
Right.
So it's like it's something that's uncharted in that sense. We don't have a recollection of doing that together before that way.
Right.
So it's beautiful, it's magical. So I hope that helped about the sun. But it's like also through the human language, then we like to give it numbers, we like to put it in boxes, you know what I mean? So in this essence, that's the answer that's coming through, is like, look at the bigger picture, like that sun is not just individually coming in by itself, like there's a new version of Earth, there's a new version of the expression of the soul and the entire experience coming forth,
Yeah, Peter, because thank you, my friend, because what Sasha Stone talks about with that interview is, during the peak of the eclipse, which is about 4.5 minutes long, to not be staring at the sun, but to be turning within and invoking the inner sun, our inner light, and that this is the projection, the feedback system, the mirror, the hall of mirrors, the matrix, as you like it. And of course, that's another theme that's been pouring out of people left and right this year and recently. So that we take our dominion, from living truthfully from the inside out. And the phrase from the indigenous people was to dream wisely. And I think that's a beautiful phrase, And how do we know we're doing that? Because we're doing it through love. That is the oneness, and love creates the space for grace and wisdom.
Love and commitment, I feel, is like the key there. Yeah.
Very good. Yes. Well, commitment is the masculine and love is the feminine, we could say,
Right. It's the fully stepping up to the plate, becoming all of it,
Sure. Let me ask you this, my friends. This is just always such a thrill. I have two. Bless you. Yes, we're old friends. I have two friends that both seem to be making their transition at this time. Catherine and Arisha, and I love them both deeply, and they're very powerful spiritual beings who've been a huge inspiration in my life, each of them. It seems like a lot of people, some people may be leaving before this shift happens because they don't need to be here for that. I'm just welcoming any feedback you would have about any of that.
Okay. There is a lot of exits going on, and it has actually been happening this last month, so to speak, leading up to it.
Okay.
Course on like the equinox and the highlighted dates, portals date, and eclipses, that's even higher, but it's because of the release of the human time space consortium, then it kind of feels like it's stretching out a little bit more because we are more multidimensionals. We're feeling and we are experiencing more timelines, more dimensional frequency at the same time. So then it feels like, we are able to partake in the process leading up to it, in a kind of like a linear way, but it's not as linear. It's more because it's multidimensional. So experiencing that, you already know the answer to the question, I feel, meaning that it was Troy's point, meaning that whoever is transitioning right now is choosing to make that transition now to work from the other side.
Yes.
Shift into that, or be the welcome committee, or, what I mean? So there's nothing wrong. There's
nothing has gone wrong.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
It's honoring too, like honoring their choices, you know what I mean? And knowing that there's a divine purpose for that,
Yes.
And again, like you mentioned, the love, it's like really seeing and feeling and feeling that wholeness is like where everybody's actually working together as a team, you know what I mean? And then like loving all aspects of the team as you know what I mean? Like that really just kind of like, that's appreciation that's just so magical and deep, you know?
Yes. Yes. That's very helpful. Thank you. Yes, I did feel that. I didn't want to, you know, it was a terrible shock both times. But I was in a group and they said, you know, that Arisha, for example, has made her peace with this. And I mean, I was very blessed to find that, get that feedback in a credible way, authentic way. You know, just a few days after I found out that she had been ill, for years, which I hadn't known. But yes, it's like there's what I'm realizing as you're working with me is these are the two closest people, if and when they make their transition or have already done so, I don't even know, you know, that I would have on the other side, you know, really, you know, heart family. So it gets my attention. It's a powerful thing, powerful gift. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Oh, yeah. How do you like your new home, by the way? That was what we talked about.
Well, yeah, that's a fair question. You would know the story better than anybody. Yeah, it's worked out so far, Peter, and I'm grateful for that. And given the housing situation in Ireland, that's interesting. It's been a miracle that I could find this and move into it and begin to you know, put my life back together after all of that, leaving so quickly in December and all that. So yeah, I mean, it was another wake up call for sure, and you know, things are working out, and I'm paying attention. And the winter, like we said here, you know, it was, you know, frankly dark and lonely, you know, the winter, and it was just a lot of time for me to sit and think about things and really take stock and appreciate the good that I do have in my life, and your friendship and many other people as you looked after me when I was in the hospital last year, brother. God bless you. I was thinking of all of that before we got on here today. You know, it's been quite a journey the last few years, and so yeah, I'm getting settled in here, and at the same time, I do feel like we're kind of living in a Stephen King novel or a science fiction story at times. I don't know if you've been drawn to see this, but there's a series on Netflix called The Three Body Problem, which is actually quite brilliant. And yeah, the cleverest science fiction and the most political science fiction and the most human dynamics, thoughtful science fiction about power and authority that I can ever recall seeing. Really, it's right up there with the best of anything I've ever read or seen in books and films, etc. So I would recommend that to you and to anyone, because it just being drawn to see this and being so impressed by it, it seems also like a bit of divine timing that you know, how the energies come through music and movies, etc., and get our attention or speak to what we're being asked to look at. So, I mean, you're asking me about you started how's your home and all that. Home is okay, and Ireland is still okay, but at the same time, you know, I'm aware of all the political things and all the challenges that are out there, socially, economically, etc. And then, you know, the pan back, as they say in the films, the big picture, you know, which is what you and I are talking about here, the cosmic picture, the long view, you know, that feel more intimately connected to truly every day. And so, as you're saying, it's like a 3D chess, or having, you know, many different realities that we're aware of and that are floating around out there. And we're all, you know, asking, how can I help? How can I serve? How can I heal this and help this to grow and to change? So my home is providing me with the support to be able to do all that. Is the long answer to your lovely question.
And I'm sure the energy is different there than the last place too, right? You know, like, so you adjusting and receiving different values from that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and honestly, I don't know if this is. I've been in Ireland now 17 years this month, and was in Vienna for a year before that. And so, it's. I don't know. None of us know what's around the corner, as we say, but I do have this sense that a new beginning. That's the card I got today. Chapters are closing and chapters are opening up, and like all of us, I'm just trying to stay in my lane, as you said, and be of good use to the world, and enjoy my life, and love my life, and love and accept my own journey as much as I can.
I love that. It's funny you mentioned the card you pulled today. I pulled the Seraphims.
Okay.
I was like, as you know, with our journey, especially where we're at right now, is that kind of like, okay, what are we going to be talking about? It's like, what is it? That's kind of the logical mind is kind of like anticipating.
Oh, yeah.
But
sure. What was the card though, Peter? I didn't.
Oh, the Seraphims. Can you see it?
Yes. Okay. Oh, so just the angels in support of the angels. Seraphim's gateway.
The higher guidance, and I've been seeing them since, like when I was channeling, I could just see the rainbow colors coming in earlier and before our show, and then doing our show as well.
Yes.
So it's really like, I'm obviously going through another expansion, as you are, and it's like really just staying present, and having gratitude for where we're at, and unconditional love for everything we do.
Yes.
Focusing like on the basics, you know what I mean? That's really, really the key, because
sure.
And allowing everything else to come into alignment or be attracted or magnetized to us, the experiences, really resetting everything the way we do things,
Yes. Well, I'm not familiar with the Seraphim except as a term. Would we, as we come down the home stretch, would you like to?
Well, the Seraphim is like the highest of the angels, so to speak, in the human way of describing things. So they're connecting directly with God, between the archangels and God, and then sending orders down. We need to work on that. We need to do this. You know what I mean? So six-winged, holding really, really high frequencies. And not being boots on the ground so much. It's more like in between.
Okay. This is thank you. Say again.
Very high, very pure, frequency holders,
I was going to say this is what Oren calls the great ones. Perhaps, yes, that their energy is so high that there has to be a group to receive it, basically, because it's too much for an individual to accept. I don't know if it relates exactly, but that's just what comes to mind. But it's beautiful to hear that, and I definitely felt that energy come through as you began to channel and cleared the energy here, and the rainbow light. That's another thing, all these photographs, of course, of rainbows appearing in all these different shapes, and spirals showing up in the natural world, and there's a lot of phenomena that are reflecting the higher dimensions, the aurora borealis and all that. Things are really quite visually rich these days with all of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's magical. And dragons too, like dragon energies, we talked about Earth and all the other realms, destinations and civilizations, but also like the dragons, the angels, the ascended masters, coming in and partaking and assisting, with the activations within us, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So like that's really beautiful and magical, and the Seraphim as well,
Yes, you're reminding me, Peter. The two most spiritual stories for my heart of my life so far has been the Lord of the Rings and the Harry Potter stories. And would you believe that in 2025 or this year, I think they both have new films coming out. Both of those series. Which, exactly. It's a bit of a surprise. It's kind of like when the Beatles released the new song in November, and they hadn't released, a song that was like 50 years old, now and then. And Peter Jackson, did an incredible video with all the Beatles clips that I grew up with, seeing my teenage years and my 20s and all that. So yeah, it's interesting how, Spirit is continuing to say, it's going to be okay, everyone. We're going to get through this.
Well, it is the disclosure as well, like it's unfolding, like the movie you mentioned too, I haven't seen it, but it's like, it's all part of expanding the minds, of what's possible,
Yes,
this field, and of course navigating, there is fear out there too. So that's where we have to consciously navigate that, and through our hearts, not being too exposed, because I'm sure kind of what you did say about the movie is that it was kind of like highlighting how it was kind of keeping people in fear and low vibration through music and through movies, like maybe 80-90% of it, so discernment is very important, what we allow into our field.
Sure. No, for me, it's honestly, it is the hero's journey, and really the best of humanity, and the courage and the willingness to face any fear and overcome any fear, and believe that you can overcome any fear. That's Harry Potter was like 4,000 pages of a story, and Lord of the Rings is probably equal to that. And we thought, oh, okay, that's done now, but there's more, and they're going to speak. The other thing, I'll finish here with this, Peter. I want to respect your time, my friend. That also the children that are coming up now, there are extraordinarily gifted and precociously wise and evolved, kids really stepping up, and that is exciting to see as well. So I know that things are really going to start ramping up here. I'm sure that we're going to be in a whole different reality before the end of this year in many ways.
Yeah, I agree with that. Perfectly ending to our recording here. It's like we are stepping into the unknown, and we are, traveling together as a group, and having a bonding experience, so to speak.
Yes, meeting across time and space, and loving and blessing each other, and recognizing that we're all in this thing together, and thank God that we are. It's a joy. Thank you, my dear friend.
You're welcome. Thank you. It's always wonderful to be on here with you and handle what's coming in,
Yes, we'll do it again soon. I have no doubt. Bless you. Bless your heart.
Thank you.
All right, Peter. Thanks a million. God bless. So you want to say how people can find you for your work?
Sure. You can go to my website, channelingarchangel.com, and read about me there and watch some videos, and then you can do the contact me page. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram as well, posting almost daily, either stories or posts, so that's another way of trying to get to know my frequency and see what's going on, follow your heart, that's really the key here.
Amen.
If something is resonating with you, then try to engage with it, because there's a part of you that's ready to activate that,
Yes, we're warriors of love, Peter. I'll send you my song. Yeah, we're doing it. Beautiful. And please give Ireland's love to your 80-year-old angel at the beach.
I'm not sure if she's 80. That's something you came up with, but she's probably
okay. Well,
she's older lady. You're not supposed to say age of a woman, right?
Yeah, I don't want to, step on any toes. Please give her.
She is a beautiful spirit guide, and I might connect with her again or not. And maybe this was it, maybe this was the soul contract.
Sure.
She delivered that to me, and I recognize that, and I received that, and it's just beautiful. And you mentioned too, with spirit guides and brothers and sisters that you are, sharing with and traveling with,
Yeah. The band is getting back together. The tribe is gathering. That's what I know. Yes.
Coming down to the core, it's beautiful.
Exactly. All right, brother. I'm going to let you go. God love you. Peace and blessings.
You too, buddy. Thank you.
God bless.